Welcome to the Church of Mabus radio show. It's Friday night. This isn't Jack Nicholson, it's his clone. We saw a
Ooh.
crazy movie. We saw a crazy movie with Jack Nicholson's son in it.
Oh, really?
Ray Nicholson, I think's his name, but it's called Borderline, and he's crazy as hell and stalking this girl. It wasn't bad, but it was
Oh,
good.
he's not too far off from the apple tree then.
It was kind of creepy watching it though, because I mean he looks just like Jack Nicholson, young Jack Nicholson. So it
Is
was
he
kind of
good?
weird. Yeah, he's
Who
not
cares if
bad.
he looks like him? If he sucks, who cares?
I don't think he sucks. I don't think he seemed like he did a good job. He played crazy pretty good.
It's called what? Borderline?
Borderline. It's on Amazon. What was that? Amazon, I think. Let me make sure that's the name of it again. Borderline. We got Mark Eddy with us tonight. Yeah.
Hey, Mark.
Glad to be back on UPRN.
That's right.
We got some other shows.
Yeah, Borderline.
We're working on developing. So if I'm not on those, I'm sending some top quality guests to Jeffrey, and they will be very interesting shows.
I'm doing some stuff for Samuel. He was helping me with some of my crowdfunding stuff, and he has me doing some things for his book up before it's news. Just he wants some more light on it, more because he's trying to make it a New York Times bestseller, and there's rules or something. But anyway, I've been posting stuff about it there. I've been mostly just posting his like archives there and stuff, but I think he wants more complex stuff, which I'm not sure. I'll have to try to do that. But lately I've just been putting up his archives and his picture and stuff. But yeah, Mark brings the great guests, the good guests, especially when you hit burnouts with scheduling and you're just like dead. And I mean, there's not even publishers. Like there's been several publicists who I've worked with over the years for a long time. And as far as like lately, a lot of publishers are acting really kind of weird and quite like strange. But as far as the ones that there's been some great ones like Mark who's support the show, who's donated. And I've noticed that when you send out like donation things, like some publicists that you've worked with for like 20 years or something ignore you, like you're like trying to wash their windshield at the car light, like get away. But Mark and several others who I'm not going to name, they've donated, and that's who I focus on. People that care enough to, it doesn't have to be hundreds of dollars or anything, but just the people that say a kind word. I try to, like, you could at least say a kind word back to that. You don't have to donate. You could just say, I hope things get better for you, Jeffrey. And sorry you just went through the apocalypse. But
even the care emoji is helpful.
Yeah, a prayer. Yeah.
They don't really have. That's the one thing they don't have on that. When you hit like on Facebook, if you hover over it, then you get the different choices. They've added a few. They don't have an unlike on it, and they don't have like, what was the one you just said?
I don't remember. What Facebook has been acting crazy lately, like just sharing stuff, like sharing to a group you can't, it like freezes up every time you try to do anything.
Well, not even that. I'll look at these guys. This one guy, I forget his name, something wood turning, Andrew something wood turning, and he just takes oddly shaped pieces of wood and burls of wood. Burls are like the fat knots you see on live oaks, but he takes these oddly shaped pieces of wood and he makes them so that they're at least they'll spin on his lathe, and then he goes and he spins a vase or a bowl out of them, and it's gorgeous work. But he's a Facebook poster. I'm watching it. He's not making money off of this. He's just showing his talent. Yeah. And like 2 minutes in, Facebook puts in an ad. I was like, what the fuck is this? This isn't like, there's enough ads on there. You don't have to like put it on personal people's postings. Ridiculous.
Facebook seems compromised to me lately. Like something seems really wrong with it.
Because their CEO's got the 40-foot pipe up his ass from the Senate right now. He's testifying, he may lose a lot of money. So I think that's why he's.
There are certain posts that I post, and it seems like it's harder to post those certain kinds of posts. That like something seems really wrong.
Well, also, I mean, not to sound mean, you've been flagged a few times. Maybe you're also, because of frequent flags, you're looked at more frequently. I know for a fact when I go to the airport, the fact that I am a gun owner and have frequently carried firearms legally. By the way, you can legally carry firearms on an airplane if you do it correctly. I'm always usually scrutinized, and I'm always, I don't get a choice of going through the X-ray machine. They throw me through the X-ray machine, and then they search me. So there's no choice for me because they know I'm it's not that I'm a threat. It's just that, they know this guy carries guns. What if he forgot to declare one? We might as well, X-ray his ass and then give him the old frequent body cavity search here and at the other end on the other airport. Make sure he's not hiding something. So you do got to be careful about that kind of stuff because the government will do that. If you're a frequent flyer, they will keep frequently looking at you.
I know they will. And we're going to get into Norse, but I had a little statement to get into. God help us all before we start. We originally had a guest coming on about Norse, but he was acting kind of weird. So Mark says he knows a lot about Norse, and I'm sure Jay knows some, and I know a little bit. And I love Norse. To me, it's like real Lord of the Rings up your butt on the earth. There you go. Here you go. Here's real Lord of the Rings. It's like I'm sure Lord of the Rings was inspired by that and Christianity and other stuff, but Norse is like it's like the real Dungeons and Dragons on Earth.
and it starts with a whole bunch of dots and dashes too. Oh no, wait, that's Morse code. Never mind. I'm getting something confused.
One thing I wanted to ask. It really seems like things have really gotten a lot weirder since the Epstein files release. Now, I've been keeping up with it pretty good, no expert or anything. I mean, there's people that have remade Epstein's entire email to where you can go in it and look through his email like if he were alive. So it's gotten pretty bizarre. But right now, the way things are leaning and looking, it kind of seems like we're living in the series meets, what was the other one I said? Oh, They Live with John Carpenter, with the sunglasses. Okay. And it kind of seems like there was one guy who's usually right wing for a channel called Inspired. He was kind of alluding that Epstein's part of a bigger operation for the more powerful elites.
Yeah,
and the more powerful elites are the shadow government. And it seems that, and to me, I think Trump is guilty. But as far as I think they all are on every side, and there's so many that, like he says, if we brought it out, it would destroy everything. And it's pretty much doing that right now.
Starting to, yeah. Prince Andrew has been arrested.
But the thing is, Trump is in there so much. I don't think he's
not in there that much. He's in there only because Epstein is talking about him behind his back. It's not like he's talking to Trump. He's talking about. There's a difference. That's the difference there. That Trump really has been exonerated as being of any kind of exonerated of any kind of wrongdoing.
What about the Asian Lou dude in Congress that said that there's materials in there of Trump hurting children and there's videos and stuff?
He's lying through his teeth.
The Lou dude, the guy in Congress is.
Listen to me. Listen. The Democrats, particularly Hillary Clinton, has been trying to throw Trump in jail for over 9 years, probably closer to 12. And if there's anything in those files, which Hillary Clinton had control of for 8 or 9 years, if there was anything at all that would put Trump in jail legally, properly, they would have done it 9 or 10 or 11 years ago when they got their hands on it. I guarantee you that.
What if she didn't? That's why
they don't want to put it out, because it exonerates him of any kind of wrongdoing.
What if she didn't know because her husband's complicit and Trump blew Bubba?
She's in there too.
I know.
She's in there
I
too.
think they're all guilty. I don't want to get into this too heavily, but I think this thing's ran by like reptilian, pedo, cannibal, serial killer, baby rapers at this point. It seems like our government's compromised.
Listen. Just for everyone's safety and security, Trump can legally sue anybody who over the airs or podcasts have accused him of, being implicit of child harm in the Epstein files. So I try to stay away from saying that kind of stuff.
I will. Yes,
until it's proved one way or the other. One fact is
he seems like he's
we don't
going
have
110% Nazi to me lately. That's
there's
the
also
way
there's
I'm
also
seeing it.
3 million files have been released, and there's 3 million more that they're about to release later on as soon as they're done looking through them, make sure that they're correct.
I just know whatever you think. I've seen the most horrifying things, from things about mothers' voices being played to babies so they'll blah 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 more to the whoever. And there's been even an audio video, people saying it's Trump of something like that, bizarre. But there's a lot of crazy in there that's just nuts.
It's more than crazy. It's downright demonic. Some of the things
It's
that
causing
rumored to have
a
happened.
revolution. I mean, Trump right now is concerned other countries are going to try to prosecute him for what's in there.
Well, you're right about one thing you said earlier. You think he thought he was some sort of a part of some other larger organization. He was a paid insurgent to get blackmail material on as many wealthy and famous rich people as he could to control them for the extreme left and certain other interests. And that's exactly what we're starting to see. And it's going to hurt a lot of people. There's going to be, a few Republicans will probably come out. There's one that's already in there who's come out. He was a former aide to both Clinton and Trump. So he's crossed the red and blue aisle there. But Trump said it. He didn't want to be forced to put it out. He said it's going to hurt a lot of people. And the first person that's been felled by this right now, besides Ghislaine Maxwell, is Andrew Mountbatten.
Who's that? You talking about Prince Andrew? That's the
Andrew
guy.
He's not Prince Andrew anymore. It's Andrew Mountbatten.
Okay. Well, it's definitely going to get crazier. That's for sure. It's a horror movie.
We are at the closest to midnight on the doomsday clock as we have been in years. It's 85 seconds away from doomsday.
Well, I mean, I see statuses lately. I thought we were deporting. Why is he building concentration camps? And there seem to be really like some camps coming up that seem pretty crazy.
Concentration camps. There's no evidence of that.
There is. Look on Stephen Smith warning, and he's been on Bill Maher. He has like pictures of it.
Oh, like I trust Bill Maher. Bill Maher's an idiot.
Yeah. Well, you're always gonna love Trump, right, Jay? Trump loves the baby jerky. Everybody, 2028.
Hey, my gas prices have gone down more than $2 since he took
some of
office.
that baby jerky. You know what I think? I think they're probably all eating babies and trafficking people. They're even tying that Erica Kirk into weird trafficking stuff, and that's from their own right wing.
There's a sick rumor going around that she has she's pregnant with a love baby from J.D. Vance.
What about Mandini's Epstein's son?
Donnie?
Yeah,
Zoran Mamdani.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get to it. Just forget that. Listen, people, we're ran by cannibal pedo serial killers. Now let's get to the Norse. Hail Thor! All righty, let's do it. Mark, how do you know so much about Norse? Because I mean, I've you know a lot about a lot of things, but I didn't know you knew a lot about Norse.
I think you're padding my resume.
But you said you knew about Norse, didn't you?
Well, I had a college class in Vikings 30 years ago. But
that's cool.
We've been working together for what, 15 years. You did a show on Norse mythology. It was an Inner Traditions book that came out. I forget the name. There was like a little gnome on the cover.
The Evelyn Rysdak. I know she's one shamanic Norse teacher I've had on, but I'd have to dig. But yeah, we've had a few.
Yeah, I don't remember, right off the top of my head. But okay, you've had several Norse experts as guests over
Yeah, we've done several
uh,
shows on it. Yeah,
the years.
Love it.
You know, every day of the week is named after. Wednesday is named
after
after
Odin.
Woden, uh, Woden's Day, Thor's Day.
Yeah.
So even
Friday
though,
is what, Freya? The
yeah,
Freya, and what Saturday is after Saturn. It's a different one. It's not one of the Greek ones. I mean,
yeah,
not one of the Norse ones. It's one of the Greek ones, I think.
right. Okay, Sunday,
Monday and
sun.
Sunday are Moon and Sun.
Yeah,
Tuesday is Tyr's Day. It's a Tyr is another Norse dude. I don't
yeah,
remember his
What's Saturday, Norse?
Saturn, Bacchanalia. It's a Greek name. It's a Greek
Okay,
planet.
yeah.
okay.
But that's just a sample of some of the stuff that you know, the legacy of the Norse. Some of the Irish. Um, Mythology
Tuatha
is
De Danann.
also is also related, or is
Sure.
mixed in with Norse mythology as well. Y- y- you do have you know the thing in Iceland. That was like the world's first democratically elected parliament. So it's what some of our culture today does have roots in Norse mythology.
Well, it's definitely a system that we're going to need to call upon to overcome the situation America's in. And right now, the religious systems, as much as I'd love for them to work, they seem like they're going backwards. So I find those
But,
powers and personalities interesting and tapping into them. There's something to it.
Hey,
And I
Joe.
felt it myself, you know?
yeah,
And the religious parts of it could be that's one of the things that's holding us back is the people not being able to unite because there's just so many different diverse religions and so many diverse. I mean, each religion has a lot of offshoots of it. How many different branches of Christianity are there? Baptist, Methodist, Latter Day Saints, but it's spiraled into the point where we're of one species, but not necessarily of one philosophy. If you know what I mean.
or- but some of the shows I've heard Jeffrey do over the years, and even when I was in college, you get reading uh, Beowulf. You get some of the Norse um, hi- hi- history, kind of overlapping with the native English literature. Um, y- you know, well, 800 years later, or however, uh, I forget when that was written. But you get, no, it's far more than that. 1400 years later, you that literature, uh, which is some of the fundamentals of um, English literature, would have a profound influence on Tolkien and
Mm-hmm.
the Inklings. You're all just battling the monsters like Grendel, and you kind of get that feel as you read the Lord of the Rings trilogy that fights underwater. um, Maybe there's a little bit of the Arthurian legends of Lady of the Lake, but like what's all going on there at when those legends were first being written, uh, it's very interesting to ponder what are they seeing. It's it's like so much of what uh, Joe talks about on the Quill show is uh, where were you getting your influences? What were people seeing? It,
Well,
how do you
I
get
think
these?
if the further back you go, we tend to think of most of it as fiction, but they're finding out with ancient text, Mahabharata type ancient,
Yeah,
10,000, 12,000 year old things. They're finding they just found Dwarka, which is a mythical city in the Mahabharata that is destroyed by a vicious weapon set off by
a
was Shiva.
Vimana.
By Shiva. Well, Shiva's probably in his Vimana, but he fires off this weapon at Dwarka and another city, like something. It also ends in Dwarka, but I forget what the first part is. But these two cities were hit with this weapon that caused a flood, and they sunk into the ocean. That's how it's written in the thing. And they've been found. Guess where? Under the ocean. There's another one they just recently found, and I think it's just almost as old, like 4th or 5th century BCE city that was again always thought to be mythological, not real, never existed, but there it is under the Mediterranean. They've just found it. So we're starting to find that some of these books may not necessarily be fiction so much as actual recorded history.
Yeah, and that's some of the stuff Jeffrey and his guests have spoken about, and Joe's show also covers it. Is some of this stuff seems really bizarre. Like what's the pillar of fire by night that is kind of hovering in front of Moses leading the people?
Yeah, it's a pillar of fire by night and a column of smoke by day that he follows.
Yeah.
I am that I am, Mark.
Yeah.
Eddy.
So Jeffrey and I spoken about that a few times. Other than birds, what was flying at 3500 BC? Was that a craft? It's how do you explain that? I think it's so unusual that you have to stop and discuss it.
Yeah,
You
one
can't
thing.
explain it away. It's like when I was saying with Grendel or the Lady of the Lake. You get these.
Grendel, I think, is really a reimagining of an earlier story of Enkidu. It's a Sumerian myth that maybe one day we find out it's not so much a myth as a history. But the brothers
giant.
Enki and Enlil had a fight, had a falling out of whether or not to destroy humanity and the grotesque experiments that they threw aside that were still alive. Whether or not to destroy the earth and then start over. The one brother decided he wanted to kill his brother. So and Leo is the brother. He made a clone of himself and called it Enkidu, and his brother's name is Enki. And if you read it, it kind of plays out a lot like the Herculean story where he fights to get into the underworld to retrieve his dead wife and children, and then once he finds them, he fights his way out. It's almost it's the fight for immortality is basically what it is. So Enkidu and Enki, finally they clash. They fight for 2 days, 3 days straight, and finally they're like, you know what? Screw this. Let's go get a beer. And they become like fast friends, and then they go and do all these things. And one of them is to go in the underworld to find, because I know that Enkidu is like he's like a bastardized hybrid, is mutant monster thing. So Enki takes Enkidu into the underworld to try to attempt to find him immortal life. which eventually they do, but on the way out, he somehow dies. It's a tragic story, but it mirrors a lot of future myths that we have. Hercules being one of them, probably Heracles being another.
You know, and you know, so you know, throughout the Mediterranean and the Holy Land area, you know, just over
Precisely.
hundreds of years, you get, you know, the same stories being
Exaggerated
retold,
on, added
yeah,
to.
yeah, embellished. You know, this part taken out. You know,
Good.
the artwork with the giants. Well, okay, that might be a little bit, you know, before, um, you know, the Nephilim in the
I don't
Bible.
know that Giants is exaggerated so much because it's in every continent. If it was only in one continent, I could see it being an embellishment. But some of the stories seem a little nursery rhymish. Uh, but I was going to say that there are. Oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. But there are too many similar stories of giants across the. It's the same with the flood. I mean, it just. I don't think it's been embellished so much. It's just maybe even dulled down a little, so maybe we're not as afraid of it happening again. But at any moment, a rock the size of Texas could hit the ocean and pretty much wipe out every coastal town for miles. But the thing also is, if you go further back in time. No, I remember my example. All right, so there was a great experiment on, believe it or not, Johnny Carson show with Johnny Carson, not with any idiots after him, but Johnny Carson, the original good one. It was one of those mentalist kind of guys who'd come on, and he took a piece of paper that had two sentences on it, and I forget what the sentences were. The sentences were like, Jimmy and Sue go to the Tonight Show to watch Jimmy or watch Johnny. It was something simple like that, and he give that sentence to the very first person in the audience, and there were 402 people total, or 502 people total in his audience, and he had told the guy to memorize this sentence, and when the guy had memorized it, he put it in his pocket, and he told the guy to whisper that two sentences to the next guy, and then once that guy had heard it, he was to whisper it to the next and the next, and when they got to the 502nd person, they were supposed to say what they had heard from the first guy, and it went from a 2-sentence thing, like, Susie and Johnny go to see the Tonight Show, to like this convoluted thing where murder's involved and more than one people. It was amazing. It turned into a paragraph. So you can do that if you have enough people, even at least 100. I would think you just whisper something to one person's ear and just zip it down the line to the number 100, and at the end see what the difference is between the two inputs. You'd be surprised.
Well, hey, let me plug Piggles real quick. I forgot. Everybody check out PIGGLZ.com. If you have a pig, for a pig harness, a pig coffee cup, pig shirts, pig all kinds of stuff. Harnesses mostly. They make really good harnesses. That's PIGGLZ.com. So check it out. Harnesses with a mission. Rawhide. But anyway, one thing I wanted to say is you could see how much Norse and the Vikings had a power. There's power in it, because you can see how much religion has tried to kind of paint over it and cover it up in a lot of ways. Like they did that. I mean, they kept the days of the week or whatever and changed, but with the holidays, they changed it into their own. It's like they're just like painting over stuff.
And also, I think the original Zodiac was the original Zodiac had Ophiuchus, and I think it's Aquarius was that replaced it eventually.
The other sign or whatever.
Yes.
And I'm someone that thinks there's truth to some things in religions. I think there's Christ consciousness and things like that, Jedi Force, whatever. I've seen beams of light, so there's obviously something going on with all that. But that's where I struggle with Christianity. That there is a lot of debauchery and covering up and painting over, and which
it's strange you say that.
Real, that's mankind. That's
it's strange you say that though. But some of the advanced civilizations that allegedly we were encountering, they do have a religion. And you would think someone that would advance like the Greys or the reptilians, wouldn't necessarily have a religious background, but from some of the abductee and contactee information, the reptilians seem to be extremely religious towards their soul god. Don't know if it's a similar to ours or not, but it is said that the aliens, the god beings, gave us religion and the king's list and government systems to rule ourselves with. So who's to say they didn't give us their own religion?
Valhalla burns tonight when the wolf swallows the sun. That is the name of this show. Yes.
I hope you're not trying to summon some demon.
You ever seen Eric the Viking with Tim
No.
Robbins?
Yeah.
It's a good, yeah, that's a good comedy. We watched it recently. I could watch it again, but first saw that movie on a VHS with my druggie friends. It's on a VHS. But Eric the Viking, that's a good one. I forget who did it though.
Wasn't there a Monty Python connection to, I think, Terry Jones?
Yeah, there might be some kind of connection there. But look how Norse has permeated our culture.
I think Terry is mainly the animator. So if he had any assignment,
Eric the Viking,
it was usually animation.
That was Terry Gilliam.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was one of them too.
You haven't seen Eric the Viking? It's on Amazon. It was, so it should still be there. But it's an oldie but a goodie with Vikings in it. It's a comedy. Like Monty Python.
I think it was Tim Robbins' first starring role.
Oh, really?
But
yeah, I agree, Joe.
Yeah, there. There's Jeffrey, that it is a good example about their legacy. The Viking legacy that still intrigues us today. That their exploration of obviously the Scandinavian countries, all over Russia. They made it to Italy. They were.
They made it to Minnesota.
Yeah, merchants. They did the Kensington runestone. Colonized Iceland and Greenland, and both of those countries have more so Greenland recently, but they seem to have been aware of the importance of Greenland.
It's if you're going by non-powered sea travel, Greenland is an ideal stopover before going across the rest of the Atlantic to whatever might be on the other side. And the Vikings found it second. Actually, they found it second after the Jomon culture of Japan and Korea, circa 12,000 BCE. However, they seem to be more coastal. So the Jomon people started off around 14,500 circa BCE and went to about 1400 CE roughly. But they started, they made dugout canoes, much like almost exactly identical to the ones the Native American Indians use. And they used the prevailing, currents to travel the Pacific Rim, going along the Aleutian Land Bridge, along Alaska, Canada, Americas, blah, 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 all the way down to about Peru and then across, because that's where that I think they call it the prevailing westerly that goes. Then they went back across the Polynesian Islands and all the way back home, and they traded their goods and their artwork, and their artwork spread all the way across America. So they didn't really go much past coastal areas. But the Vikings, they ventured. I mean, they must have taken the water routes through the into the northern lakes, Lake Superior and all that. That's how I think they got to Minnesota. But they got deeper than anyone. They were the second people to find North America, and Columbus and Vespucci, Amerigo Vespucci were the second and third and fourth people to find America.
Hey, Joe Fox. Joe Fox said, "I'm a so-called Christian. I've come to realize Christianity is a hoax. Is anyone here familiar with the teachings of William Donahue?" I'm not.
I am not. No.
I'll check out William Donahue, but I can understand how you feel that way. Our problem is it's man that's really the hoax. It's man that's the error. And the problem, one thing I'd ask you to check out, if you want me to check out William Donahue, check out Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God. He's been on the show twice. I'm surprised he came to my show, but
He's passed, isn't he?
No, I hope not. I don't think so. No. But I know some interesting. But anyway, that's Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God, Joe. If you get a chance to check out those, I would recommend them. I wouldn't say they're Christian, but they're worth checking out. As far as a lot of greats dying, man. Robert Duvall, the Apostle. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Apostle, where he's a preacher. It's one of my favorites with him. He's in so many good things. Another one, we can talk about him in Robert in a minute or whatever, but Tom Noonan, that's a famous actor that passed away. He was in Manhunter, and he was Francis Dollarhide, the Red Dragon. He was also Frankenstein and Monster Squad. Monster Squad, he was Frankenstein. He's a big actor that's been around a while, Tom Noonan, but he passed away too. God bless him. Safe travels. But yeah. Those are some big ones.
Yeah, I like Tom Noonan. That was it wasn't that movie he was in with is it William Catt? No, the other guy with the big fluffy yellow hair. Anyway, at the end of it, spoiler, it's an old movie, but they shoot his kidneys out, which was different than the ending in the real book, but it was quite cool the way they did the special effect. See these two big splatter marks of his organs flying out of his body. It was gross at the same time as funny.
There's one with Tom Noonan, and it has devil in the title, and I can't remember the name of it, but if you looked in his bio, you'd find it.
Find it on IMDb.
But anyway, he let me just real quick. This girl comes to a house to babysit, and it turns out he's a Satanist that's like going to sacrifice her at midnight on that night. He's the Satanist. That's crazy.
When Manhunter came out, it was like pretty wild movie.
It was,
you get the end where he's pushing one guy. He killed, strapped into the rolling chair and pushed him down the
reporter. Yeah,
the parking garage. While In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida is playing, it's some pretty wild stuff going on, back in the 80s. But that was your forerunner to Silence of the Lambs. I think it was your first adaptation of
Manhunter's the adaptation of Red Dragon.
Yeah,
which was redone with Ed Norton, which is much closer to the book, and in my opinion, a better movie. Manhunter is still good. Don't get me wrong. But if you compare the two, I like Red Dragon better than the Manhunter version.
It was all just your late 80s, Miami Vice.
It was produced by the guy who did Miami Vice. It would go on after doing that movie Manhunter to produce Miami Vice. Yes.
It was all interconnected. A couple years later, you get the bigger production of the Silence of the Lambs, which it is one of the all-time great horror movies. Ranks up there with.
Yeah, that's the first one with Anthony Hopkins as Dr. Lecter. The guy in Manhunter, I forget the actor's name. I think it's Brian something or other. He now actually does. He's the guy on the McDonald's commercials now. You broke the internet. Um,
But,
and
but
interestingly, also enough, when the guy who directed Manhunter, when he got the gig for Miami Vice, and again I forget the actor's name, but the actor who portrays the lead in Manhunter, he asked him to be the lead in Miami Vice, but he was doing some other movie, so he was unable to take on the part, so therefore it went to Don What's His Face.
Don John.
Yes,
Hold
thank
on,
you, Don Johnson. Yes.
Late 80s into the early 90s, that's really where profiling became very popular. When I was working at a school, we did a field trip to uh, a museum. They kind of gave us just one of those like real generalized
The 50-cent tour,
tutorials.
yeah.
Yeah, but it at least it got you thinking, because probably by that time, um, maybe most of the students may have somehow seen VCR uh, or a VHS version of Silence of the Lambs. But what Jeff was bringing up is just uh, how much these people really continue to have an influence on us today. And Robert Duvall got his start uh, in the To Kill a Mockingbird. He was in the Twilight Zone.
Actually, his very first movie is George Lucas's very first movie. He's in it twice. George Lucas did for his senior thesis in film school, THX 1138. And then it was so good that I forget what 20th Century Fox, I think, gave him the money to remake it. And there happened to be a senior actor in the acting department of that same college that played the lead in THX 1138, and that was Robert Duvall.
But his the the first two Godfather movies.
Oh God, yeah.
He played his character without a flaw. Tom Hagen was a good lawyer, but since he wasn't a Sicilian, he made those few mistakes that he just did not have that genetic understanding of the Sicilian culture. He was always, they kind of saw him as a brother, but it's also, the German Irish. But he did make a few mistakes, but I think that was maybe looking at it through coming from a different cultural background. And when he was corrected by Michael or Vito, he calmly expressed his understanding that he had made a mistake. It was I I'm just trying to focus on his acting, responses, and then other times when there were close-ups where his character Tom is uh, agreeing with Michael about having newspaper people on the payroll. I just kind of agree, nods in agreement. But it's the way he did things in that movie that really made him kind of. It was a great role for anyone, but he really fleshed out the character with just, yeah, he's not
Yeah.
taking the credit that maybe Michael may have done. Fredo would have taken the credit, but Tom was more reserved, as you kind of don't know if he's the one that sawed off the horse's head.
Those
Seems like he did, but then they continue the same collaborative team with Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
It's like being part of like those three movies. Gee, that those were like three of the big movies of the 70s.
and those Thomas Harris books, I can remember reading Red Dragon like in high school or something.
Mhm.
Man, that was
It's
powerful.
really good. I read it
Oh,
after the
yeah.
Manhunter, but yeah.
Those are a
Wow.
trip.
Did you
You
read
know-
really quickly? I read Thomas Harris. I read two of his books. This was that one, Red Dragon. I read that one several times, and then the second one, Silence of the Lambs. I believe I breezed through it like 24 hours.
That one called Bad
Wow.
Sunday. There's an old movie about a blimp that goes to a Super Bowl and tries to blow it up. It's called
Mhm.
Bad Sunday. There's an old movie about it too.
Yeah, I think that was the follow-up for Robert Shaw after Jaws. I think he was
Yeah.
he was in that
Every time I see a Super Bowl, I think of that movie. The last one.
it's been a while since I've seen that
But
one, but
yeah. Go ahead.
but I think this little section we're doing on these two actors it reveals their importance to today's pop culture.
Yes.
And I still think a lot of the Manhunter movie or Red Dragon. I think that's really what got so many people interested in profiling, as it was just getting started. And I believe Thomas Harris interviewed John Douglas for ideas for the book, and that's why Jack Crawford is kind of based on John Douglas.
The books are really good. They kind of I
Mhm.
like the Hannibal one. What was it just called, Hannibal? But there was one
Yeah,
that
that was
was
a
like
good
a prequel that gets into why Hannibal Lecter is that way. It's because like some Nazis ate his sister in front of him or something. I remember
Yeah,
something like
there
that.
was some messed up. Yeah, it was. I read it. It was good, but creepy. I mean, it was.
That's why
If,
Hannibal don't eat baby jerky. He eats
well,
only a goat.
if you thought any of the other books, the first books, Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, et cetera, books after that Harris did were kind of creepy. Hannibal's like the top. That was one of his best. I mean, you actually start to understand and even sympathize with Lecter.
What about the end of that book? They cut that out of the movie completely. In the end, and everybody, they've either read it or not. So, spoiler alert if you don't want to hear it. in the end of Hannibal, that book that came out 200 years ago, and I don't know if this was a dream or real, maybe you can tell me, Jay. Hannibal was with Clarice Starling, and they were like a cannibal couple or something, and it ended or something crazy. Like they were together, like romantically.
That could have been it's a fantasy on his part. It's been a while since I read the book, so
They definitely did not put that in the movie. There was a little bit of it in the movie, but not like that. Like she was a cannibal too.
Well, I mean, frequently Hollywood doesn't really follow the book so much. I mean, like we said earlier with Manhunter, it wasn't close to the book at all. Red Dragon was almost identical to the book. And in most cases, Hollywood does not improve on the book in any way or degree, except the one example that I know is Jaws, which is one of the best horror movies of all times. It really is. But in the end of the movie is different than the end of the book. The end of the book, what happens is the sheriff, Roy, what's his name? The actor
Brody.
Yeah, Brody. Sheriff Brody is in the cabin of the ship that's as it's sinking, and he's with his body movements because he's read up on sharks. He lures the shark by pretending to be a distressed fish, and the shark comes right into the cabin after him, and he almost eats him. But he jumps off the front of the boat while it goes down, and the boat traps the shark in the cabin and drowns at the end of the book on the bottom of the ocean. Horrible movie ending, right? So what do they do in the movie? Same thing. The shark, he makes a lot of noise in the cabin. The shark comes at him, and he sees the shark. He throws the scuba tank at him. Then he climbs the mast and waits for it to smile. You son of a boom! And he blows it up.
On the last bullet.
It's a bullshit ending. Anyone knows that wouldn't happen to a scuba tank, and even with a high power bullet, wouldn't explode like that. But still, it's a much better ending than the book would have been. Had we been, I mean, we saw it in the theater.
I want to read the book.
I'm a huge fan of the movie and the author.
I want to see the movie
we
again.
took the family to see it, and at the end, I don't know what my dad's reaction was, but I was like, "Yeah, it was awesome." Had the shark drowned in the boat, I'd have been like, "Why'd you bring us to this, Dad?" There was one explosion in the whole movie.
Things have been really weird. We had a guy on Johnny Zoltar and the Robots, and he was saying things like about Kurt Cobain's murder, and he had said stuff about it before on other shows, and we just listened or whatever. He was also at a party, and he picked up a phone, and Charles Manson was on the phone, so he got to talk to Charles Manson at some weird party. But anyway, he was telling us that he was talking to the feds about Cobain, and that he asked them if he could come on the show and talk about it, and they said no. But he said, "I know who did it, and it's some guy named Alan Wrench is supposedly the murderer," which I don't know, that if that's true or not. That's just what I've been told when I'm reading. There's a lot of different accomplices.
You're right. No, there's a recent. I don't know what it was, whether it's a police department or like a forensic,
there's
case
a big rush on it that it's a homicide.
And they're saying that the evidence is there that it may not have been a suicide. It may have been murder to be staged as.
The thing is, he said in a few days it's going to come out. In a few days, it came out like a freaking waterfall, and I was like, "Wow!" He said it did it. And here's the thing: supposedly there's a book called I'm Sorry, Kurt, and I forget, it's by Joseph something. It's on Amazon. It's a guy that witnessed that day. He wrote a book on Amazon. 2 people, chicks and maybe a dude, loading up Cobain on heroin, and basically he OD'd and died, and then they set up the shotgun scenario and committed, he was already dead because they gave him dirty heroin, and that's supposed to be a big part of it because he had 3 times the amount of heroin in his system.
The version I heard was he was forced to be given a lethal injection of heroin against his will, and then once it incapacitated him, they put the shotgun in his hands and pulled the trigger.
It's out all over the place. Look it up. You can just Google it.
And it's recent. This is not like this.
And he just said this stuff like a week ago.
This is real. This seems to be real.
We've had some crazy shows lately. We had him, the death metal guy. We had Eric Werner, the satanic bounty hunter, and doing battle with the cartel. We had a lot of different. We had the Dexter show. Now we got Mark Eddy, he's fixing to get crazy and do some shamanic Norse drumming. But Mark, man, the Norse thing is just there's power to it. Like you can say those names and feel the energy from it. Like I could say Odin or Thor and Loki, and I mean you feel it. There's something to it. That's why I say, why did religion try to suppress it so much? Because they knew that, or just trying to do their own, run their own game, or whatever. But
you can also take those same gods and they're exactly the same. Their names are different, but they have the exact similar powers in the Greco-Roman myths. Zeus and Thor, they're all there.
There was a show with Stephen Flowers. He's like a master rune dude, Temple of Set, like a epic dude. But he said the weirdest thing, and I couldn't tell you any more after it. After I say it here, you'd have to find the show and listen to it. But he said something like Jehovah is Thor. Like he said it like boldly, like just raw. I was like, that's a lot to wrap your head around.
A lot of researchers say that Thor in the Greek and Roman is Apollo. Zeus or Odin is Zeus. Even though Zeus also throws lightning, but right now Odin throws lightning as well. But the real lightning guy is Thor. But Thor is also the god of the sky, which is Apollo in Roman and Greco myths.
Joe, I found you on Facebook. I'll send you those archives once you've accepted some of those Neil Donald Walsh. He's been on the show.
Yeah, Jeffrey, you were talking about the power of the Norse people. And I think it's that kind of sentiment is expressed in Zeppelin's Immigrant Song.
Yeah.
It's the band did have extensive touring in the Scandinavian countries. They even went to the Mabus studios to record their last CD or album at that time. But
you want the lyrics? I just popped them up.
What is that Q&A over my face? What is that?
It's an overlay. I can turn it off.
Rid of it.
Yeah,
just don't want it on my face.
I come from the land of ice and snow.
No, you're wrong. No, let me. Hold on. Where did it go? Oh, they put a damn ad up. There it is. Right, I'll read it for you.
Get the screaming.
It starts off with the screaming. But I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to sing it. We come from the land of the ice and the snow, from the midnight sun where the hot springs flow. The hammer of the gods will drive another goddamn pop-up. Shut up. The hammer of the gods will drive our ships to new lands to fight the horde, sing and cry, Valhalla, I am coming. On we sweep with threshing oar. Our only goal will be the western shore. They're coming here, America. And then they scream, ah! And then we come from the land of the ice and snow. We've read that one already. How soft your fields so green can whisper tales of gore, of how we calm the tides of war. We are your overlords. On we sweep with threshing oar. We did it. And then the final one is, so now you'd better stop and rebuild all your ruins. For peace and trust can win the day, despite of all your losing. Ta-da.
Okay. Well, that's
they're literally talking about the Vikings coming here to America.
And there's power that we've been talking about. People win and lose in war, but that's just one. Just a follow up to what Jeffrey said. But you also get some of these like the Thule Society. Okay, since we're dealing with Nazi philosophies coming out of the far north. Okay, so we have to look at power and control there. What's going on with what's the attraction between like Berlin and Thule,
That
Greenland?
was more not necessarily Berlin as much as it was Hitler
Yeah,
and his inner circle kind of got into it too once he got them on board. But yeah, he was into the Thule Society and their ancient mystical magical things, and he was also very interested in finding the Aryan race, which he thought to be superior. And allegedly, I think the Aryan race to him is probably what would be called the Anunnaki to current day UFO researchers, or maybe perhaps the Pleiadians. We really don't know who they are, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's like carting God. The alien species comes here and goes, "Hey, we're from so and so and such and such." We can no longer verify that than we can our own selves, really, to be honest with you, without a deep DNA test. So the fact remains is that we really can't really verify much of this nonsense, but there it is.
yeah. What that I think topics like that need brought up for tonight's discussion. They fit. What what was going on? Uh, what is the ice covering? A super ancient society?
That's
What's
that's
this
where he,
legend?
that's where we
What?
think that's where they think the Aryans are. Hitler sent
Yeah,
what was it? The New Schwabenland.
that's
It was a carrier that they converted over to a freightliner or to at least look like a freightliner, but it was literally originally started as a military vessel, naval vessel, and during World War II, like 1938, I believe, is they sent it from the the Atlantic Theater. It sailed through the Atlantic Theater with a flotilla of escort ships right to Antarctica and was never heard from again. Allegedly, they started a colony called New Schwabenland, which they named after the boat. And there they encountered the Aryans who helped them build a base. And then Admiral Byrd, which I call this the last battle of World War II, even though World War II allegedly ended in, was it June of 1945. This is 1946, and it's called Operation Parachute.
high jump.
High jump. Thank you. Yeah, Operation High Jump. And Admiral Byrd's flotilla, which actually had an aircraft carrier and a destroyer and a frigate and submarines and all kinds of Marines and lots of gear, they went in search of Antarctica and the Nazis. And he allegedly was attacked by circular planes with machine guns and Nazi swastikas and other glowing objects that shot rays of fire, which immediately sunk one ship with one hit. And this was all reported in a Peruvian or Argentinian newspaper when they fled the scene after getting their asses whooped. Several boats were sunk, over 200 men were killed, and over 300 men were injured or burned.
I think they were supposed to be there for
Months.
yeah,
Months. They
and
were supposed to be there for months. They were there for like 48 hours, and they turned tail and ran.
yeah, it was
Under
a
fire, by the way, I should say they didn't turn. They ejected themselves from the arena. It's another way of saying they retreated.
yeah, it was a much curtailed expedition.
They
So
never got there. I mean, they didn't. They never set foot on the continent. But although years and months later, Byrd would warn of years from now there will be a war where the enemy can fly from pole to pole in moments.
yeah, so what? are the secrets buried under the ice.
There's at least one pyramid.
Under both poles.
Okay, under the North Pole, there's nothing. It's trust me, it's just it's a sheet of ice. There's just water underneath it. There's no structures. There might be a vortex. Now we do see on Saturn, on its northern pole, there is a hexagonal. Hold on here. I'll get you the shape. That's one good thing about D&D dice is they're good for like making outer space shapes too. You laugh. I'm being serious.
Well, I'm wondering if there's like a race of beings here that may be tied to Antarctica.
So there's literally it's a 1, 2, it's a 5-sided thing like that on the top of Saturn. It's a vortex where the atmosphere is doing. There might be a water vortex that does that. It makes a tunnel that goes down, but it's not a tunnel to the interior of the Earth. It will eventually terminate into a cyclone, which is an underwater or above water tornado, for lack of a better explanation. Cyclones are tornadoes on the water. They can also, but if you go into a funnel, eventually the funnel is going to be nothing but water, and then you'll be under the ocean. There's nothing else there. Trust me. Our U.S. Navy has been all up and down there. We have submarines that have traversed underneath that ice for 70 years, maybe more.
Is there a race of beings here tied to Antarctica, and the ones who like do cattle mutilations, they could be responsible for taking people? Like there was a deal between the president and all that stuff, Eisenhower or whatever. I've interviewed Laura Eisenhower a million years ago. She claimed she was taken to Mars by some kind of secret MyLabs or something. But anyway, when you start to add up some of this stuff in the Epstein files about seems like there really are like elites doing stuff with human meat. They think the baby jerky is the meat. So you have to get real paranoid with the series and They Live. Is there beings here that may be really in charge and we're just like puppets? And if you saw Beyond Skinwalker Ranch and them going to those other ranches, there was some kind of presence at every one of those other ranches too. They just canceled that show. So were they getting too close, or money, or viewers, or whatever? Who knows? But anyway, they're still
probably because of rating.
Yeah, but the show was actually really weird. I mean, they were going to these ranches and weird stuff was happening at every ranch. That was really weird.
Now, one thing I can't verify it, but one thing I think about cattle mutilations is I don't think they're alien. Because I mean, think about it. You have an alien species that wants to remain silent. So what do? They come by and carve up a bunch of cows for lunch.
It could be black
and leave what they don't want to use on the floor. That's announcing there now. So really, what I think it is, if you look, cattle mutilations only happen near where the Manhattan Project was. In the Tennessee Valley, you see them, and in Nevada and northern Texas. In that corridor, like the Chisholm Trail kind of corridor, that's where you see cattle mutilations. What they're doing is it's MyLabs, and they're looking to see how far the radiation from the Trinity bomb tests and other nuclear tests in that region of Nevada, seeing how far the radiation has migrated into the public sphere. That's what cattle mutilations are. They're looking for radioactive cows, three-eyed fish, and that kind of crap. I promise you, that's probably what it is.
Is there a race of people here that are elites that maybe have more alien ties in a bloodline way, who may have UFO technology? And you know how you've seen some of those weird videos of people with jetpacks that no one usually has that kind of tech? What if they got weird tech? And then we've had the preacher from Coast to Coast AM on, Bill Bean. This is when it gets really creepy, like in a John Carpenter kind of way. He said that Satan is responsible through a lab, like a lab situation of making these cryptids and stuff that we see, and that he has UFO tech on Earth.
Who does he suspect Satan to be?
I don't know.
Because most people don't know the correct name.
JoJo. I don't know.
Not Lucifer, and it's not Lucifer. I can tell you that much.
I don't know, but anyway, I know Lucifer's supposedly a different thing altogether, supposedly. But the thing is, there's definitely something here that's, and what's weird is if you look at the Bigfoot kind of stuff with Kawani Leporitis, which is a big personality that did psychic Bigfoot and all that. He says there's different races of Bigfoot. There's like the ape kind of ones, and then there's some that are conehead, and then there's some called the ancient ones that are more human-like. Yeah, those are down here in orangutan land. But as far as the ones that like there's an advanced race of them that have been around forever called the ancient ones. What if there's like that with people? And that could be the Antarctica connection. And, you know, a lot of people think the Nazis were in communication with some type of being here. I think there's definitely beings living here amongst
allegedly the guy, I forget his name, but the Kaiser of Germany, the president, if you will, of Germany just before Hitler during the First World War, they were given sometime during or before World War I, they were allegedly given a fully intact working vehicle from, let's just say, friends from very far away. And that's what helped them to build such fast advanced equipment during World War II under the nose of the entire world who was looking at them. They were able to build the largest battleship, and they were able to build a huge air force and a huge tank force under the Geneva Convention after World War I, that they weren't allowed to build any of that stuff, but yet they were able to do all this under the full scrutiny of all of Europe, Russia, England, America, India, Pakistan. What do you name a country? They were all looking at Germany, yet they were able to start both world wars because they were, at that time, they were technologically the most advanced race. If you think about it.
They also built the De Glock.
Well, that was World War II, but what I'm saying is, in World War I, they nearly dominated the world, and they were able to, under very deep scrutiny, they were able to build up enough forces to nearly take over the world again, and build the world's. I mean, just the secret experiments aside, just the feat of building a battleship that was at that time was, I think, 3 times or 2 times the size of any battleship in anyone's navy. And that battleship went out and nearly sunk all of England's ships until a lucky World War I biplane torpedo guy, and this is a guy that's flying a paper-skinned airplane. Okay, that's how old the plane is. In World War II, he drops a tornado off the bottom of his plane and strikes the Bismarck in the rudder, locking it in a left-hand turn. And so it just sat there in the North Atlantic doing a circle. And so the English Navy just surrounded it and Polish firing squadded it over the next 3 or 4 days until it sunk into the ocean.
So, have any of you heard of Adolf Hitler?
No.
You don't know who Adolf Hitler is?
I think I have an idea. It sounds like dyslexia for pissed off Hitler, but
I saw someone saying that. I couldn't help it on Facebook. But anyway, it's a crazy world, man. We'll be lucky if we live through this year as crazy as it is. Isn't there some kind of weird bat balls disease in India killing people that's supposed to be really bad? Like some kind of weird bat plague or something? Like
no idea. I don't eat bat, so
something about a bat. Okay. Something about a bat. No, I don't think it matters.
If it's in India, then thank God it'll take a while to get here.
No, it'll be here with Trump in charge and the.
I missed that one. Is it going to be something like another wet market story?
I don't know, but look it up. India bat disease is supposed to be 100 times worse than C. Blah 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 blah. They always got something cooking. When Bill Gates is around, you better just get your mask.
They have a very slack bathing rituals over there. So,
well, I don't know, but. What's going on? Oh, there's a new King Arthur show. I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my itinerary. It's by Stephen Lawhead, the guy that resurrected Spartacus House of Asher, which is actually pretty decent and surprised me. He also did that Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, so don't blame him for that. But anyway, he did a show called what is it? The Pendragon something. Return of Merlin actually looks pretty good. If it's House of Asher got 90s on Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm going to check it out. Things like the Pendragon.
There's a bunch of good new rehashes coming out. They're doing there's a new Stargate SG-1 coming.
Yeah, I've heard
There's
of
a
that.
new Serenity coming. They're calling it Serenity Season 2, actually. There is a new Greatest American Hero coming out, TV show.
I love that show as a kid.
And Henry Cavill is doing something also that's a redo.
Highlander.
Highlander, thank you.
He's also doing a Warhammer thing on Amazon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm really hoping Warhammer gets the credit it deserves.
There's
Warhammer,
and I'm kind of sick of rehashes, but at least these are rehashes that I would like to. I hope they do well on.
listen,
I remember the other one. The other one is The Last Starfighter. They're rehashing that. It's a new movie.
Warhammer has been around a long time, and a lot of things have taken liberty with it
so, right?
a long time. And it's
Let's find out.
basically like dwarfs and orcs in space and like big religious marines in armor just slaying the hell out of demons and aliens on planets in the name of their lord. And it's crazy. There's like crazy orcs, but I really hope it gets a representation. I've never played the role-playing game, but the video games, I've played them all my life, and they're really good. There's even
my friend loved it. He plays it all the time, and he builds and paints the models.
I love it. I would play it if I could. I miss playing role-playing stuff. But
started in 1987. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of things. Wow. Halo. I mean, there's so many things. Gears of War that have taken from Warhammer. Warhammer is the shiznizzle. That's
a
right.
Neat game. I like the miniatures. At the time that it came out, I was in college still. My friends and I, we played Dungeons and Dragons every Sunday, so we had lead figures that we painted, and vicious, noxious chemicals that we had to collect at the liquor store before Sunday, so that we could play Dungeons and Dragons. Because on Sunday in Georgia, you can't buy booze.
I really want a Ravenloft game. That Alcat Games is really doing some good Warhammer games. But that Baldur's Gate 3 was really good for Dungeons and Dragons.
That's Dungeons and Dragons right there.
Baldur's Gate 3 was amazing. I would do anything for it. Not anything, but a Ravenloft game. I love Ravenloft. That's like Dungeons and Dragons, but with like universal monsters.
I don't know if he was involved, but you want to hear something cool about Dungeons and Dragons?
What?
On one of the shows with Joe, it's the writer's quill. I got to sit in and interview Larry Elmore.
I've heard of that dude.
He's the Dragon King of Dungeons and Dragons. He was one of the core rules developers in the early development stage of TSR. But he came in. I believe he did Forgotten Realms. And he may be involved in Ravenloft. I don't know. He was involved in quite a few different offshoot, campaign settings.
I remember Fiend Folio.
Yeah,
Fiend Folio. Was that actually Dungeons and Dragons or like some spin-off book? That was
that's actually them. Yeah, that is actually them.
But I want to know right now from Mark, what's cooking in that pressure cooker brain of yours? What do you want to talk about, Mark? What's there? What's bubbling from the flesh?
Let's see. I'm getting closer to wrapping up part 2. You already had me as a guest to discuss my first book, Lakes, Lizards, Linton, and Leverett. This is kind of going to be a follow-up a few million years later to kind of talking about that around 10,000 BC and what was going on here in the Ohio Valley. So hopefully I'll have that out very soon. If I can just get a few the last couple photos taken. I just need a break from all the demands I have to get through, just Monday to Friday. If I can just have a little bit of time to go, get some photos. I should be able to wrap it up soon and get it out to hopefully an eager public. I think people will like it. Yeah, kind of. I have a lot of references to Pennsylvania. J-Man like that.
Pennsylvania is where I am. I do
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, there's actually when I was working on part one, which was not part of the original series. The whole thing was written out of sequence like the Star Wars movies, and it's like kind of going back through everything to make sure all the information is consistent. That's one of the reasons why it's taken so long. But one of the museums I've been working with, they are recommending, we need to get some biographies, something done with some of these 19th century scientists. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I've called one of the museums that has the archives, and they're like, which of the 70 boxes of notebooks and letters would you like to read? It's like, oh my gosh, this is never going to
So
get done. But
it's a lot. Yeah.
yeah, what the WVU library has is already amazing. It's like, wow, I got sit in there and hold some of these uh, field journals from 1875. That was pretty cool. Getting to turn the pages, reading notes from that the same author would be keeping in his personal archives from his research in Brazil and some of the fossils he found there. And there's a lot of similarity in the Brazilian and Monongahela River Valley fossils. So that was like really cool. And it's like they're all preserved in coal.
Yeah, there's a lot that whole area. I mean, West Virginia is kind of connects up there. Though all those rivers are pretty fast, and a lot of the rock is it's not real tall. It's not. I mean, it's basically like foothills, really. But there's a lot of coal between
Yeah,
Ohio, Pennsylvania,
it,
and West Virginia.
yeah, and once you start getting into Brazil, you get the same species of flowers in their coal seams. So you really have to wonder, like, okay, all was this the kind of like all these ferns and some of the uh, over 100-foot tall lepidendron trees? Is that just pretty much found around the world? So that
Yeah.
that's some of the stuff the museums are like.
Well, but no, you're right. In geology, that's a lot of times how they'll find, a geological whatever they're looking for. Certain terrains, like the terrain near a caldera, is what you see in Yellowstone. The terrain you see where we're talking about in the two, large coal deposits is that type of, it's not. We're not in the mountains. In the mountains, you're going to have, much taller mountains, you're going to have much different materials, harder materials.
But how much of all this, the landscape of where you are was formed by glacial outwash.
Mhm.
And it's that's where it's like you're doing all that in home health care. So you also live near those museums. So why don't you drive down there, see if they have these any new displays, anything new come in that they're curating. So that's how these museums are recruiting me to do these projects, but that's kind of become my job, and it's become a real passion of mine. Yeah, I was really into that, the dinosaurs and that kind of stuff when I,
Yeah.
little kid. Then I don't know, probably about the age of 10. That's when a whole bunch of things radically changed, and it kind of had
Oh,
to
it's
get
not.
away, get away from the dinosaurs and grow up pretty quickly. And now I'm just kind of returning to my original childhood passions, and it's just really nice to have uh, so many museums in the area saying, I'm glad you got talked into this, lassoed into it might be a better term, and they're just so many local people and
Oui.
yeah, museums are just been very supportive about please get this out. We need better representation. Some uh,
It's a
I
3-hour drive, Mark.
it there's I I don't know if I need anything from like the South Central PA area for part two, but I'm being asked to do a follow up to part two of a part two kind of situation, where there is a reason to um, uh, look at the documentation near where you live, and go there and just use get my little camera and get some photos. I'm interested in going there. There's all kinds of things.
Oh, I'm looking at Main Street of Monongahela, Pennsylvania, and there's a little shop here called the Drunken Hippie. Um, it's got a sheet, so it's not in the 20. It's not in the 19th century. Angelo's Monongahela, I guess it's a restaurant. They have a McDonald's, so it's not. Yeah, there's a lot of neat little cool things here. There's this Monongahela Aquatorium. I guess it's one of the many
Yeah,
museums you're talking about.
yeah.
Uh,
They have a summer. I think this year their summer concert series is scale scaled back because of some kind of engineering thing going on, project, road construction or something. I think they're still trying to get a few dates filled at the auditorium, but there's a lot of neat stuff that from Pennsylvania. I will be including, like I said, with you know like part two of a part two. Um, I, Harrisburg has some information. I've spoken with them about. Yeah, hey, can I come to your place and photograph a couple things? You able to pull them out from your archives and photograph them? They said, yeah, just give us a date when you'd uh, be in the area. So that's another example of you know welcoming of people. Just I, I, I think it's I think the tri-state area is just really um, underrepresented. We started off being the place to be, then kind of faded out of favor. But there's really a lot of neat stuff that's similar in our area. Some of the jasper quarries.
Oh, that would be cool to go to. I'm kind of a rock guy. I like rock collecting. That would be neat.
Yeah, and like how much uh, of some of these rock deposits are uh, left behind by glaciers. So
Mhm.
that th- that is some of the stuff.
There was a couple of again, they're not standing stones, but people misidentified them as standing stones, like the cairn stones you find in
Yeah,
France and whatnot. But what it was just several boulders, and more than one. I mean, what several being like several hundred, maybe even several thousand across the continent. Just these boulders randomly placed throughout the Midwest and wherever not in the United States. And they're wondering how they got there. And then they started to use their brains. They could see like the gouge marks where these rocks had been drugged from, and like, well,
mhm,
who drugged them here? And at first, they didn't know, but after time, we figured out that the glacier, as it
yeah,
receded, pulled these large, 90-ton, 100-ton, 200-ton, 500-ton boulders towards the north while it receded and made these gouge marks, and people were like, for a
yeah,
while,
yeah.
The
And I,
geology is really cool.
and, and and there's really a lot of the 19th century geologists who pioneered the study of glaciers right in where basically where Jay and I live. They were walking up and down the creeks,
Mhm.
going up on hilltops, finding uh, the smaller rocks closer to the summits than there are the huge rocks in the river valleys or out in someone's farm. Man, how's I get? And it seems really misplaced. Well, you know, uh, Frank Leverett and quite a few other people, realized then that okay, this is part of the glacial deposits, and so it might not be uh, action-packed writing, but I'm going to be putting in some of the huge critters that were found.
Wow.
And
Like huge critters now, do you mean giants or fossils?
like the fossil
Oh, okay.
animals, what was going on you know, 10,000 years ago, what's walking across the landscape and dodging the floods, carrying the rocks, and the rocks being like how much crap can you just pile at the bottom of a glacier, and it just keeps
Well, I
going.
mean, aren't the Great Lakes, aren't they all, they're all glacial lakes. They're
Yeah,
all gouged out by the glacier. So
yeah,
if anything's going to be really antique, or I mean not antique, but ancient, to find geologically, I would think at the bottom of those. I mean, they're deep. I mean, you take submarines and cold gear to get all the way down there, and very very advanced scuba gear.
yeah. but but like Ontario is so flat because glaciers just came through, uh, plowed the land down and deposited it where you live. So blame Michelle. So that was a really long-winded answer for your question, but that's what I'm working on. It's getting I'm getting pretty close to being done. It's cup maybe about 210 pages. Um,
What's it called?
I'm not sure yet.
By Mark Eddy.
Yeah, so
That's what we got for now.
It's Mark Eddy. It's Mark
Yeah.
Eddy time.
yeah, busting my balls again, part 2. I mean, this is just like I said, it, it's really been a rewarding experience to work with so, so many very helpful people at museums, libraries. Yeah, I wrote it, but it was really a team effort, and just helping to make sure I have an understanding of, or what to look for. Trying to get photos to demonstrate uh, examples of water erosion from different time periods. And it's kind of a little bit of everything, but I think people hopefully will like it.
Keep us in the loop.
I will do that. Like I said, it is getting pretty close to being done. The absolutely horrible winter uh, really slowed things down. The last couple places I need to go to are north of me, up this way, and I don't know how much more snow they had here. We had uh, maybe a foot accumulating over the winter, and it just wasn't melting. And
Ours just got. We just had like a slow trickle down rain all
yeah,
day today, and it melted most of it. I still got about a foot of it on my plants, my front little area.
no,
But
mhm,
it's supposed to snow again Saturday and Sunday night and hit
yeah,
us again.
yeah. We have high winds. You're going to get the get them later tonight, and cold fronts coming through, but that kind of uh, I knew going farther north, and they're probably going to have more snow. I just didn't know if I drive three hours north, is what the feature, the geological feature I want to photograph, is it buried. It just some of the stuff I've never that I need a photograph. I've never been there. Been able to find where about where the places are located. But is there a place to even park? Has that been is there even a place to uh, park and get out of the car for just a second? Can I park in someone's driveway? I just don't want to park at someone's house, and then you, you have to give them credit, explain to them what you're doing. You have to give them credit and stuff like that. And it's like not a problem, but you know, uh, am I at the right place? Yeah, how much time are you going to be spending while the days are shorter trying to get uh to the right place? That's a little bit of a problem too. But as we're approaching March, hopefully we just get through this weekend nor'easter or whatever it is, Alberta Clipper, and uh, hopefully next week's going to be warmer, and I can wrap this up. Yes, but that's I I will let you know. Maybe someday I'll make it to Joe's show.
Let us know. Keep us updated.
Oh, I'll I'll do
And
that. I had a lot of fun. I appreciate the opportunity for the Lakes and Lizards book. People,
and I'm gonna get a bunch of hits on this one. You watch it on Rumble. It'll get 200. I've been getting 250,000 hits a show on there,
Nice.
and that's from political. It's because I put them under political videos.
there's a little bit of
Sneaky.
politics and ancient history, some religious, but we pop culture. We covered a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we tend to do that.
You got to hook up with some Stan Gordon, Pennsylvania.
He's Stan. I like Stan. I think he's a very interesting speaker.
Me too.
I have read 2 of his books. He is covering his Silent Invasion.
I have it.
Is so it is really not too far from where our drive. It's not too far. It's a very scenic drive, but several of his examples are from the Beaver River uh, area. It's kind of like the confluence with the Ohio River. Short distance from downstream from Pittsburgh. But I think he does an excellent job of discussing all the reports that came in at that time. The Chestnut Ridge is further east, but he has lots of interesting photos of the footprints going through the woods. Then all of a sudden they stop. He's making really good points about did the Sasquatch type creature enter a portal? Like, where'd he go? Like, there's no evidence that he backtracked or anything. It's just the trail ends.
That happens a lot in those cases.
The big stones put in trees at much higher elevations along Chestnut Ridge. The people who are making it up that to these the scenic overlooks, they probably aren't hiking. You know, yeah, you can do a little bit of profiling of the people. You know, they're motivated people, but are they the ones balancing these larger rocks in limbs of trees? It was pretty odd. Like who or what is doing that? And I think Stan supports a lot of local conferences. He's a speaker at them, or he's there supporting them. And you know, I just find the Kecksburg conference. You know, my few dealings with him have been very nice. I think uh, he's shown me a lot of consideration. Um, as you know, I've met him uh, at area conferences. I really like him. You know, he you know you know, Jeffrey, you've had him as a guest a few times, haven't you?
Yeah, I've interviewed him on the show and in written form, but it's been a while.
Hmm. Yeah, he does have the new, relatively new book.
I think I got it.
Yeah, yeah, he can get into some of the river cryptids as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is something that um, you know, area cryptid researchers have to cover is uh, what has been seen in the rivers. Um, you know,
Been a lot
maybe
of that.
yeah. There are petroglyphs, prints of petroglyphs that have been uh, uh, curated because the sites have been since submerged with the modern lock and dam system. Um, but some of those you know, petroglyphs seem like they are accurate depictions of um, uh, uh, aquatic cryptids.
Yeah, there's been several cases of those aquatic cryptids caught on some
Mhm.
pictures and stuff on paranormal, but there's one big case where a police officer actually came out public about it. A guy was, I forget where it was, might have been Carolinas, but I may be wrong. But anyway, a guy was driving down the freeway and he saw something bloody on the side of the road, like a person. And then the next thing you know, it's in the back of his truck. And they played the 911 call on a lot of these paranormal channels like Slapped Ham and all the different ones
Yeah.
that are on YouTube. But they had the actual cop come out and
Mhm.
say something. And he said it was one of the most eerie things ever. The guy's voice is still in his head, the fear from it, that there was really something aquatic, sound like some aquatic cryptid or something.
Yeah, it's actually a fascinating subject, and you know, it's you know, people think, okay, Stan's coming up, you know, this is you know, a little out there, but no, you know what the reports he's you know, received from people, um, I think it's believable because there are uh, you know, petroglyphs going back, you know, just say 400 years. It's almost like, you know, the same thing as a, you know, modern example of that you just gave. Ken Gerhard has, you know, a book on, you know, flying humanoids.
Had him on. He's been on with that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Ken has a lot of experience working in a zoo, uh, San Antonio Zoo.
Yeah.
W- I find him to be a keen observer of animal behavior.
Yeah.
What some of the Bigfoot animals, or whatever that he is writing about, it might have a basis on some of the behaviors that he's observed at the zoo. So is there some kind of evolutionary link? What about his interviews with, if you have sheriffs and police people, you would like to think that they're telling you the truth. They seem to be, uh,
There's a lot on the line. So why lie? I mean, they could be, but
yeah,
why do it?
but I'm just taking Ken's word for it that the part Joe Smith is a real cop. That's what he, the flying humanoid that he saw. But you tend to think that if a minister is going out in the 1870s and confirming with a doctor and archaeologist that, wow, these are giant bones. Why it's like, eh, eh, uh, what? How do you you aren't really going to tell a minister you're full of shit?
Well, listen, when I was in my wonderful jailhouse stint for 2 nights, I talked to the guards there about that subject. I talked to prisoners there about that subject. One black guy was like, "Get the hell out of here with that shit." and then I talked to the cop that I was in the back of. This is for a misdemeanor first offense. First offense is getting me off the hook, it looks like, because I'm such a good boy in the past. But anyway, as I'm cuffed, I'm talking to this guy about Steve Quayle and the Nephilim, the cop that's driving.
Hmm.
And and as I'm outside being arrested, I'm doing Jack Nicholson impersonations, making them laugh, even though I felt like I was going to throw up. Uh, but anyway, one of them even showed me my Amazon. Is this you, your Amazon page? It's like, yeah, that's me. I'm famous. Like, mini me's more famous than me, but, anywho, that's me. Uh, but anyway, the subject that so many people breached it on. There was a guy in there for a DUI that may come on the show, that's a Christian guy, and he was like me, someone that got in trouble and hadn't been in trouble really before. Not as bad as me probably, but my thing only got caught with a joint a long time ago, and the judge actually brought that up. I see this about 20 years ago. You were arrested for marijuana. That's too long, so we don't really care. But anyway,
Yeah, so why bring it up though?
yeah, make you look like a stoner.
It's so
But
thanks,
anyway,
Ted.
the one guy I talked to, that's the Christian guy that was in there for a DUI, he may come on the show, would blow your mind. Like, this guy is like I met the nerd crew in there. They could all, every one of them had glasses, of course, very intelligent. One was a black dude that was a lawyer for 30 years in California. And I just called him to check on him to make sure he got out. And it was funny because his mom was in there for spitting on a cop. And he goes, my mom is still in there. I can't get her out. I go, why? He goes, because she don't want to leave. I go, what? She's like 70 something. I guess she doesn't want to, she wants to stay in there. But I don't want to go back there. Let me tell you, 10 men in a pod with diarrhea, it's not fun at 3 a.m. And they're like, just flush it. Just keep flushing it. And you're behind a sheet. But anyway, it's just interesting how many people you can breach or broach that subject with, and people are fascinated. Like, I always have
Yeah,
discussions with like repairmen and stuff that come over here, and I just can't shut up about it. Next thing you know, they talk about it, they love it.
yeah, and and I think, that's one of the nice things about what the Twilight Zone started is, talk about the possibility of UFOs. Well, 60 some years later, after Ancient Aliens and stuff, I think people really, I don't think they're being blasphemous. I just think they're, wanting. I think they have legitimate questions and they want to know more.
Yeah.
And I don't see what's wrong with it. Like we were talking about with the, was there some kind of UFO flying in front of Moses
Yeah.
walking through the Sinai Peninsula?
Was that the
I-
burning bush though? Is that what you're talking about, or separate?
no,
No.
the
It was
pillar of fire.
fire
Oh,
at night,
okay.
column of
Cloud.
smoke by day.
What was it? And
But
I just think people want to know, and it gets the discussion going. They're going to learn different points of view. Some, which one you want to go with. Or, Steve Quayle has interesting theories on the Nephilim.
That Joker's been around a while. I'm like, dude, I'm surprised you still kicking, bro. He looking younger. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Getting baby jerky? Better be not doing the baby jerky.
Stan's research, very interesting, persuasive speaker. So, but I think people have questions. They may have had their own experiences that they don't want to bring up because they'll be labeled as, you're a Mabus listener.
Yeah, Mabus is just a word. It means all kinds of things, but no one really knows what it means. We have Eric on that thinks Trump is Mabus, which is pretty fascinating, but that show you can find in our archives. But Church of Mabus, that's mostly just a satire kind of name. It was me just trying to piss off people, and it still works. But no one, you'd be surprised how many guests come on and they don't ask what it means or anything, because it doesn't really mean anything. It's just I mean,
Nostradamus didn't even really clarify exactly what the person was.
It's a mystery. I have one guy say it means maybe us. What if it's us? Oh my God.
Oh no.
What if it's me? Oh my God. I've heard someone say Obama. I've heard Osama. I've heard Trump. I've heard it all over the years. The Trump's pretty compelling though, because he does seem Napoleonic. And Nostradamus originally said Napoleon was one of the Antichrists, but this thing with Epstein and Trump, and Epstein, I think it's got a lot of elites involved, and it is like a shadow government, and they're the ones that are really running this world. And I'm not going to say they're like aliens or whatever, but they might as well be. They probably have like transhumanism tech. They're probably like eating weird Hannibal Sunday treats to stay young and doing weirdness. So there's something going on that's someone else in charge, and they don't like it when they're getting out in the open. And that Epstein brought it out in the open. That ties there. Who knows how many other islands that with some freak like Epstein's running it. I mean, there's stuff in there that it's sick. I don't even want to say it on air. I mean, it's just so, I can't even wrap my head around someone wanting to do that to a child, to a baby. I mean, I can't even fathom it. Like, I just can't even wrap my head around how that would turn someone on. Like, it's just pure evil.
There's even worse than that.
Evil.
I mean,
that's horrible stuff in there. Terrible. And there's monsters. And I just think whoever's really in charge, they don't have our own interests, or they don't care about us. They just care about their weirdness and their wickedness. And who knows, they may be of a bloodline of the sons of Cain and weirdness. I don't know, but we need some rising up in America. Everybody's too worried about losing their job. You have to survive. You can't I got in trouble just for a slap. And there I was in there in like 30 minutes locked up. So what are we going to do against the military? Like, I couldn't even last, I had to go next door to the police to tell them they were at the wrong house. And I'm like, over here, me, over here. I have to tell the judge that one, but you don't care. It's just a money racket. It's
Yeah.
like
It
that System of a Down song. They're trying to build a prison. They're trying to build a prison for me and you to live in, and it's it's a money racket. They don't care about healing. They don't care about your psychological needs. They just want that moolah, that money. That's all they care about. That's all this world has become.
Yeah, that's it. And hospitals are the same thing.
And I'll probably have to go to court and do probation or anger management and pay more money. I'm already paying some dumb fee, and now I have to pay some. But first offense really saved my butt, so it let me out. But I still have a court date, and more can happen. But I don't think I'll be really surprised if they're like, "You're going back to the slammer." First offense seemed to give you a get out of jail free card, but not as quick as you'd like. It was pretty terrifying. The walls sweated in there. The walls sweat. I made some friends in there though, like some cool nerd dudes that were just there for misdemeanors. The crazy dudes were like locked up behind like plexiglass stuff. It was like human SeaWorld. That's what it reminded me of. Human SeaWorld. SeaWorld with humans. Like basically there was a round table in the middle with a guard, and then all these metal doors, and then like glass. They weren't glass, they were like security plexiglass, whatever the hell that stuff is. Like
it's a combination of
yeah.
of glass, wire, and bulletproof Lexan.
There's like 10 pods with like 10 people in each, and then the felons couldn't even come out of theirs. Like we misdemeanors could come out and watch Forrest Gump. We could walk around, do whatever, because we were misdemeanors. We were like the high class misdemeanors. We were fine. But then the felons, they couldn't even come out until shower time. They would try to get you to pass notes and stuff. They tap on the glass. I ignored them because I wasn't. It's like I ain't staying in here longer for passing some note that has dope in it or something.
Yeah.
And the other dudes would help them. The other guy was like, just ignore them. They're not there. I was like, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Hopefully your cellmate next door wasn't multiple MIGs.
Yeah. Who's that from? That sounds familiar.
Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yeah. Man, those movies are so haunting. That Hannibal show, did you actually get to watch it, Mark or Jay? I think Jay, did you see Hannibal, the actual one with Mads Mikkelsen?
The one on NBC. Yeah, I watched until they canceled it. It was damn
Did you
good.
see it, Mark? Did you see the Mads Mikkelsen one?
Just small pieces of it.
It was very film noirish, but it was very well done.
It was really good. They canceled it because not enough viewers, but it had like 5-star reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Just not enough viewers. He may bring it back for Silence of the Lambs because people were really pissed about it.
What
I enjoyed the hell out of it, to be honest with you.
That's the kind of scenario that creates the cult classics. Like Kolchak. You have just a loyal group of little kids like me who loved that for the 20 weeks it was on, and every chance I got to watch it over the last 50 years I did, and even have the 3D 3 CD or DVD case of the movie or the TV shows.
Yeah.
But that's it. It just really meant so much to a select group of people. You put it on like at 3:00 in the morning. It's still going to get a nice sized viewing at such a horrible time. It may not have been a huge success, but that's one of those things that just really creates a legendary show. As a lot of other pop things are just really flash in the pans.
Listen to this. Did you listen to the Kolchak show we did recently with Bobby Nash? Did you get to see that one, Mark? Did you hear it?
I may have heard a little bit of it.
I'll send it to you. But
Okay.
anyway, they're doing a Kolchak, the Night Stalker collectible figures on Kickstarter. It ain't launched yet, but I'm curious what they look like because that's pretty rare. There's also a lot of weird, like James Alcalon, who's doing the Weird Tales graphic anthology, and he's doing a creep show for Monstrous Press. They're doing a Weird Tales anthology of comics, like graphic novels. That's on Kickstarter right now. It looks amazing. There's a new Weird Tales magazine that's amazing, but for some reason I missed the train and they're all sold out. And I don't think you can hardly find them anywhere. But they do have them in audio book and PDF, so I may just listen to them because if you can't find them, what can you do? That's just the way it is. I even wrote them and they ignored me. But anyway, it's just some of these sites that sell stuff like that. The things sell out, and then you're just tough out of luck. You won't find it.
Yeah. So they may not be mass market.
Yeah, we're seen it. And
shows, but when they become available, there is an audience for it, and you're mentioning Bobby's appearance with you. Well, there was also the short-lived Kolchak show in 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was a new one.
The 70s. This is the 70s, so 40
No,
years.
there was like a remake of the series.
Yeah,
in
it was
90s.
It was from the guy from Queen of the Damned, wasn't it, or something?
Maybe that was it. It was a short-lived series, but
yeah, I think it was 2 seasons, and it was like ABC, and it was like when it was on like when I was able to see it, it was either on ABC late at night or Channel 20, which was the independent that had all the cartoons on it, and it was on like 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning, so you didn't get a lot of mainstream TV play.
But that shows like that are still popular.
It has a I wouldn't say huge, but it does have a definite cult following.
Yeah,
no question.
Stuart Townsend was in something like that, Mark, and I don't know if it was Kolchak or called something else, but there was some kind of weird thing I've seen with Stuart Townsend that's some weird kind of thing that's Kolchak-y or maybe Kolchak. I'm trying to look it up, but I remember some kind of show that I was like, that's weird. Yeah, he was in he did a television series that ran for 6 weeks in 2005 called Night Stalker, and he was Carl Kolchak in it.
Okay.
It got canceled. So I knew there was something. I need to find that just to have it. It's just one of those weird things that it may suck, but still interesting. But Stuart Townsend, Night Stalker show. Crazy. I guess he thought he was going to be the new Kolchak, and it didn't work out.
No, that character did show up in the like 7 episodes of the X-Files that came back.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't know. I don't remember that, but I'll have to see it. I've seen all the mythology, the most important episodes. A guy loaned them to me, but I have them on a box set that I have them all, and probably need to watch them again. Definitely want to watch all those X-Files again before I croak. It's in my agenda. Supposed to be reading Lord of the Rings and Hobbit too before I croak.
I think I heard that there's also going to be an X-Files reboot.
Yeah, Ryan Coogler, the guy that did Sinners, which wasn't bad. I liked it. It's kind of like a Black from Dusk Till Dawn. It was good. It was actually good. It was really good.
And it is about time for us to wrap, is it not?
When we were supposed to end it? My God, we went over that much.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening. My God, I didn't even know it. All right, everybody. Have a good night. See you next week. Man, what's your link real quick, Mark?
I don't have one.
Oh,
it's I don't have one.com.
If Mark Eddy goes to Pennsylvania, though, let me know. If y'all hang out. If y'all hang out, let me know. We'll do a show around it up there.
Sure.
All right, later, man.